Well, thanks, Ellen. And as we meet on the banks of an ancient river called Meanjin, can I acknowledge that we meet on the land of the Yagara and Turrbal people, whose elders and ancestors we acknowledge and respect, and whose lands, winds and waters we all now share. Can I acknowledge the Deputy Premier, my Cabinet colleagues, Assistant Ministers, Members of Parliament, distinguished speakers, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to tell you a story about a little yellow bulldozer. It's called a Komatsu D10S-1. They weighed 2 tonnes. And when they were imported to Australia around 50 years ago, in 1976, they'd set you back around $15,000. Now, as good as this equipment was, Aussies being Aussies didn't want to spend the rest of their lives calling it a Komatsu D10S-1. They had to give it a nickname, as we do. So they named it after the best native digger in the land. They called it the Wombat. In 1976, when they were imported to Queensland from Japan, a young apprentice diesel fitter named Trevor Jackson was working as part of the Komatsu assembly team in Brisbane. As an apprentice all those years ago, Trev helped put the Wombat together. Flash forward 45 years, and now it's 2021. Another member of the Komatsu team spots a familiar but forlorn bit of machinery in a paddock in the Brisbane Valley where it's been sitting on its own for a decade and a half. It's a Wombat, and somebody has an idea. With a new battery and some new oil, the Wombat starts first time. It's trucked to Komatsu's head office at Wacol, where Trevor Jackson, still working for Komatsu, checks the serial number and realises it's a Wombat that he assembled 45 years ago. So Trevor and some of his workmates decide to use it as a rebuild project, this time for the apprentices of 2021. That meant a combination of traditional manufacturing and maintenance processes and new skills, along with new parts shipped from Japan and some parts replicated using state-of-the-art 3D printing. 2 days ago, I had the privilege of meeting Trev and the apprentices of 2021 when I helped open Komatsu's new $48 million distribution centre and innovation hub at Wacol. And today, that little yellow dozer holds pride of place at the entrance of Komatsu's newly expanded Australian headquarters at Wacol. That headquarters was first brought to Queensland 10 years ago with the financial support of a Queensland Labor government. And that dozer digger is the physical embodiment of the value of quality manufacturing and the importance of a highly skilled workforce. Komatsu now employs more than 1,000 people across Queensland, and their big yellow equipment is found on work sites from the Bowen Basin to Brisbane CBD construction projects. And Trevor Jackson is imparting his decades of knowledge to intake after intake of Komatsu apprentices and trainees, ensuring the skills and knowledge he has acquired over almost 50 years are continuously transferred. 2 days ago, I also met Sophie, one of Komatsu's bright young auto electrical apprentices. Everyone seems young to me now, Sophie, who is the future of that knowledge and those skills. Sophie started her apprenticeship a couple of weeks ago, and I'm so pleased she could accept my invitation to join us here today. The Queensland Government invested in Komatsu to ensure it had a presence in our state, and now Komatsu reinvests in Queensland.